And boom, just like that, it's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's party time with us. We're the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and beside me, the man with the angelic voice, he is Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, happy Thursday. How you doing, brother?
Woo, it's Thursday again already, Munson, and I'm doing great here on Ole Podcast on Ring Respect Radio, like we are every Thursday, Munson, and I couldn't be happier to be here.
We are here every Thursday, and if you're here for the very first time, Papa Smokes and I are your commentary team behind Prairie Pro Wrestling out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada, and we also bring you Ring Respect Radio, where you can join our reviews of indie wrestling. You can join our trivia nights when we have trivia nights here, and you can join our very popular show. It is called A Trip Through the Territories. That is what we deliver to you, and if you're not brand new to the channel, and this is not your first time visiting Ring Respect Radio, welcome back. We're happy to have you, especially people like this. Our good friend, the Mangler, is in the house. Papa Smokes, happy to have the Mangler here with us. As always, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you. And yeah, we went a little different tonight, Papa Smokes. We're dropping the video intros at the beginning. We're just going full energy right from the start. More Video Bros, less videos. And here we go. We're going to be talking about Winnipeg Pro Wrestling here tonight. We're going to be going to your neck of the woods there, Papa Smokes, a place that you grew up and found your love for professional wrestling. So you're going to be able to talk in depth about it. But before we get to that, I will say stick with us, because somebody on that card really kind of stole the show in more ways than one. We're going to talk about that and find out who, and later on in the show. But before we even get to Winnipeg Pro Wrestling, as always, this is what I do. I talk a little bit about Prairie Pro Wrestling. And Prairie Pro Wrestling is bringing you Seasons Beatings on Saturday, December the 6th. It's right around the corner, Papa Smokes. Everyone's getting into the Christmas mood, the Christmas season. What they need is a little Seasons Beatings in their life, because after the hell that we saw rain down at the Ring of Horrors 4, I guarantee that there is going to be more to be said at Seasons Beatings, and you don't want to be someone who misses out on it. Every single year people think, okay, I can catch the next one. Well, guess what? The next one's probably not going to be in February. So buckle up. You're going to be waiting a long time. Get your ass over to PPW, buy those tickets, reach out to us on social media. Smart people like the Mangler have tickets to that show and are not going to be left out in the cold when it ends up selling out.
Oh yeah, get your tickets early, because we just had Ring of Horrors 4, which is the Halloween show, which is PPW's big show of the year. But Seasons Beatings is always a significant show as well. It's one of the big shows of the year. Make sure you get your tickets now. Don't miss a minute of that action.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. Looking forward to finding out what the card's going to be. Also looking forward to having Melball Collins joining us in the chat. Melball, thank you for being here on a Thursday night. You can always catch Melball here on the channel, bringing you everything pro wrestling Noah on Noah Unleashed. Check those videos out. They are available on replay. You don't want to miss out on those. Yeah, Papa Smokes, why don't you go ahead and do what you do best and give us a little bit of the lay of the land. They bring us into Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. Bring us into the city of Winnipeg and bring us into a little bit of that history about the Burton Cummings Theater.
Oh, sounds good, Bob. I remember this theater known as the Walker Theater for a long time back in the day, but now called the Burton Cummings Theater. This is a landmark historical building in Winnipeg. It's right in the center of the city, right near the St. Boniface. It's called Central Park. It's in the middle of Winnipeg. It was built in 1906/7, so it's been there a long time. A man named Walker started this theater. He had built and purchased a series of theaters throughout some of the U.S. and into Canada. Had this one built in, like I say, 06/07 for live theater performances. These guys spared no expense in making this. It's a very classy building. Even more than 100 years later, this is a beautiful building, especially on the inside. It's furnished with marble floors and walls, very, very high quality marble. It's got silk tapestries. It's got velvet carpets. It's got crystal chandeliers, all this stuff. The very finest of finery for back then. Nowadays, it still looks lovely, but it's got that retro feel to it. It's an absolutely gorgeous building in its architecture. It opened in 1907. The first performance there was Puccini's Madame Butterfly, famous play, and it seats 1,800 people roughly back in those days at least. It showed films until 1990 and then reopened in 1991 for live performances. Back in 2002, it was renamed the Burton Cummings Theater. And in May 2014, this venue was purchased by True North Sports and Entertainment. It is the promotional and entertainment company which owns the NHL's Winnipeg Jets, the AHL's Manitoba Moose, and a few other things, including some other entertainment companies and some other major properties around Winnipeg, including the arena, the Canada Life Center, which is where the Jets play. I had to look up that name because it's changed names a couple times
That
since
always happens.
2011. Yeah. So wrestling shows have been showed there since the 1910s, but not so much in the current past number of years. So WPW, the company we're covering tonight, started running events there in 2023. You notice that this is Rumble in the Burt 3, so they've had just 3 events there. And what an idea this is.
Ambitious.
I really love this concept of running wrestling there again. It kind of shows WPW's commitment to the historical aspect of Winnipeg wrestling. You probably follow them on social media.
Yep.
You can see that they have a strong connection to the past. They like showing those old clips of AWA wrestling, Al Tomko's All-Star Wrestling, and a few of the other famous promotions and matches that have been run in Winnipeg wrestling history. So running wrestling again at the Walker Theater, now known as the Burton Cummings Theater, was an important venture for WPW. And I love what they're doing here because it really, didn't you think that it made such a nice combination, this classic old building with the stage and all the various stage stuff behind there, but the ring right on the stage, and then the seats, the gallery of viewers facing the stage, then those beautiful balcony boxes on the sides. They also had a couple of small rows of possibly VIP fans or ticket winners or something like that sitting on the stage on either side of the ring, which those would be the tickets to get for sure. But I can't help but think it would be nice to be sitting out in that crowd or one of those balcony boxes watching this, because it's just such a different indie wrestling feel. It's so much more posh than, of course, a bingo hall or a flea market or a outdoor parking lot somewhere, which to me have their appeal also. But really just doing it upright in the Burton Cummings Theater once a year. I love this idea, and I love the way they set this up. What did you think of it, Munson?
I absolutely adored it, to be honest, Bob Spokes. Like, I thought this was so cool. Like, you wouldn't want your wrestling to be there every single time necessarily, because it does take away from the aspect of being up close and personal, other than those, like you said, the VIPs on either side of the ring. But the whole setup is really cool looking. There's a lot of people, and that's credit to them to get that place packed. When they showed the overhead shots from it to show just how high that thing went and how many people were in there, how noisy those fans were throughout the night as well, too. It was insane. Before we go any further on that, hello to Astra, joined us in the chat while we were talking there. Thank you for being here. And, of course, Zach coming in saying it's National Peanut Butter Fudge Day. Appreciate you, Zach. Yeah. Thanks for being here. I'm sure people were having that kind of snack while they were sitting there at the Burton Cummings Theater. But what a beautiful ass venue. And Papa Spokes, one other thing I want to ask you before we even get to the wrestling portion of this is, for our fans that are watching from around the globe that might not be as familiar, the importance of Burton Cummings and what why it is that they choose to go with the Burton Cummings as the name of the theater.
Oh, for sure. Burton Cummings is a very, very famous Canadian musical artist. He started out in the band, the Guess Who. People might know some of their hits as American Woman and some of those other great hits. They're very, very famous in Canada. somewhat less so elsewhere, but I think lots of American fans know them as well. Burton Cummings, a native of Winnipeg. He's born and raised there, and he's had his issues through the media with Winnipeg throughout the years and everything, but he is still one of Winnipeg's favorite sons. When it came time to rename the theater, they wanted to name it after a true Winnipeg musical artist that whose name was befitting such a beautiful structure. So cheers to that. Burton Cummings, great blues singer, great rock singer, yeah, fitting to have the name given to the Walker Theater. But let me ask you one other question, Munson, or just make a point here too.
Yeah.
Not to criticize the covering their coverage of this show, but one thing I was thinking, just like you said, to inform the viewers who aren't from Winnipeg and have not maybe been to this theater, I was wishing that maybe during that hour-long pre-show that they had the cameras go around the place a little bit. I would have shown some more of what this venue looks like, because this is one of those wrestling shows, even by the name itself, the venue is an important character in this whole show, as well as the crowd is. And this crowd made themselves a character in this show for sure. But if you have Rumble at the Burt, show us more of the Burton Cummings Theater. I would like that. Maybe they would consider that in the future, just while they're talking to someone or while they're previewing or billboarding the upcoming matches. Get your cameramen to go around there, show those high vaulted ceilings, show those nice seats, show those balcony boxes, chandeliers, all the posh stuff that the venue has, because it's untypical of indie pro wrestling to be in such a setting. And I just think it would have been nice to introduce the Burt to all the viewers.
Yeah, and you know what? It's very possible that might be something down the road. Again, like, it's suggestions like that I think that will carry a long way, and hopefully our friends over at Winnipeg Pro watch this and take that in and think about it for next year. Because, you know, I thought it was cool that they did that hour-long pre-show. I thought it was really good to help hype up the matches, build the matches. Shout out to Blair Pacheco, I believe is the pronunciation of his last name, who does a fantastic and almost sometimes uncredited job of keeping this all together, not only in that pre-show, but through commentary. Whoever they have working with them. Sometimes they have somebody from backstage work with them for a bit. Sometimes they have the people from the radio shows, 92.1 work with them. He does a fantastic job of giving you the reasons why you should be interested in this match, or what some of these wrestlers have been up to, what has led to this kind of thing. So I wanted to give him his flowers, his just dues here tonight, because every time we watch this, he gets better and better. And this really kind of displayed his talents in a big way, being able to run that whole hour pre-show and then go to do the live commentary afterwards as well too. Fantastic job.
Yeah, I also thought so as well. And in general, the production of the show is quite top-notch. Thought the camera work was good, the commentary very good. And for their big show of the year, I also thought that was a good idea to have that pre-show. You could see that there was kind of a merch thing and maybe a little bit of a meet and greet going on in the background. It was busy. There were fans everywhere. And then wrestlers just kind of walked up here and there and sat down and cut promos and answered questions from the commentary team, and gave their thoughts towards the upcoming evening of matches at the Burt. And it was very cool. I thought that's a very good idea, especially to have that going on live right before your show. I don't mean live on the air, but they were live sitting there doing it right before the show. And awesome idea. It billboards the whole thing and gives everyone an idea of what to expect from the coming show.
Yeah, very well done. I really appreciate it. And in that time, I also appreciate this guy, BDJ's up in the house, trying to say, what's up, Papa Smokes, a.k.a. the mayor of Marlborough, the Duke of Maurier, and the Bobby Mudson. Thank you for joining us, BDJ. We appreciate you there, my friend. But let's get into the action here, Papa Smokes, because that's what people want to find out. They want to find out, did it deliver? Did Rumble in the Burt deliver? And I can say, oh, yeah. It delivered. Let's start with that action here tonight. We started off with a ladder match, and again, finding out that this is the very first ladder match in the history of Winnipeg Pro Wrestling. I thought that was an interesting tidbit from the commentary team. It is the WPW 92.1 city title ladder match. Anderson, Tyson, Moore, the champion, taking on Red Hot Sammy Peppers. And man, you can tell just how red hot Sammy is when he comes out to a crowd of like 2,000 people, and they are nuts for this guy. He's got a charisma about him that's hard to deny, and it's easy to really get behind a guy like this, especially going in there against the big bad Anderson, Tyson Moore, right? And like, I mean, kind of a really good way to start this show at the same time. You know, it's going to be a lot of action, like not always fast paced, but there's going to be a lot of spots, a lot of crazy stuff, a lot of things to hype up a crowd of 2,000 people. And of course, with the finish happening, giving us that feel good moment that really brings the crowd in, because let me tell you, not everything was going to be a feel-good moment for this crowd throughout this entire card. So they got to have that early on. It really gripped them in early so that, you know, maybe they could drop the hammer down a little bit later in this. We'll get to that soon enough. But I liked it. It was a good opening match. I'm glad. I had a feeling at this type of card, the Sammy Peppers was going to come out on top of this thing. Yeah. I had a strong feeling about it, and I have no problem with that being the way it went, because that was the sensible booking on their behalf to get this particular title on Sammy Peppers, especially with how red hot he actually is for the company.
Yeah, very much so. And the few shows that we've reviewed, Sammy Peppers has been in the opening match in almost all of them, and he's done a great job as a babyface of warming up that crowd. They really, really like him, and he just has kind of an innocent charisma about him. Innocent aside from some of his waist gyrations, I suppose, because it's all in the hips, as he likes to say. But no, they like him as a purebred babyface. One of the things I liked about this match was at the very beginning, I mean, Anderson Tyson Moore has this manager who is the GM of WPW, this James Corba, or as he calls himself, the WPW Emperor. Yep. And he's got the whole kind of toga outfit on and everything. He, at the very beginning of this match, or before this match, addresses the crowd from one of those balcony boxes like he really is an ancient Roman emperor. That's smart, and that's funny. And like I was saying about the venue being one of the stars of this show, here's a guy thinking, I'm going to use this venue to my advantage. Not going to talk on the rant. Not going to take a mic and talk in the ring. Like, I can do better than that. As the emperor, I have to address my people from the balcony like Julius Caesar would, or one of the Caesars. You know, and he's ridiculous in his aspect and ridiculous in his speech and everything. It was quite well done. So as much as Peppers got the fans going on the babyface side of things, Corba warmed them up nicely with his shtick as the Emperor. And then Anderson Tyson Moore, this is a guy we've seen once or twice in Saskatoon, I know, over the years, possibly before the PPW years, but he was pretty good back then. Now he's really got it together. I like him as a vicious heel a whole bunch. So he was almost the perfect foil for Sammy Peppers in this. It's for the City FM Championship. So again, a nice first match with some action to get the fans involved, to get them committed to this show. This match did not disappoint, and Sammy Peppers going over in a big way by getting to the top of the ladder, grabbing that City FM title, and just bringing the crowd basically to their feet for the climax of the very first match. Nicely done, WPW, nicely done. Now you've got a warm crowd. Now you can go on from there, and the matches didn't let up from this point.
Oh, not at all, no. And then here's the crazy part too, is like you look at this matchup and you go, this is a great way to start the show. And at the same time, it wasn't even the best match on this card, not even close necessarily. And that's not a bad thing. These matches were all solid. I don't know if there is a bad match or even a average match on this card. Like all these matches had depth to them. They had great wrestling in them. I mean, everything. The one thing I will say, I was waiting for Corba to refer to the people below him as the peanut gallery. I would have enjoyed if he would have referred to them as the peanut gallery, even had the nerve to take peanut shells and start tossing them down on the people below him or something. That would have taken it that one step further in that hate. But man, he did excellent too. These guys tore down the house to start off the card, and yeah, great way to start this off.
Very much so. And it's not Pepper's and ATM's job to steal the show, to steal the thunder from the main event and the semi-main event. But their job was to warm up the room, get them going, get them feeling good. And then once the crowd's warm, they're so receptive to the matches that are coming. They'll get loud. They'll start challenging each other to cheer louder and heckle louder and all that stuff. This worked to a T. They had damn near 2,000 people in there to entertain. So a match like this, starting it off hot like that, very nice move.
You bet. Second matchup, you know, a lot of the time when indie promotions especially put on a ladder match, it's deeper into the card or it's the main event or something like that because it's hard to follow a gimmick match sometimes. And we know we've got that Battle Royal on here. That's also going to be another one that's hard to follow. But of course, they put the tag team ladies match into the second match to follow this ladder match. This had some star power, though, behind it. So on one half of the side, you got Ava Lawless and you got bitter Beaa Moss. On the other side, you have the Matriarch, and she brought along Shotzi Blackheart with her to this one. Very interesting. Shotzi Blackheart making an appearance. I think they said this isn't even the first time that she's worked Winnipeg Pro Wrestling before either. And here we go. Last time out that we even saw the Matriarch and Ava Lawless in the ring wasn't exactly our favorite match at all. But, man, we're all four of these ladies on point in this matchup. That not 1 second of this matchup was even unentertaining. From start to finish, all four of these ladies put on one hell of a show. And once again, despite how good everybody else did, I was sitting there listening to bitter Beaa Moss the entire time, whether she was shit talking in the ring or shit talking from the corner. I think it was one point earlier in the match where Ava gets a bit of a beatdown from the opposition, and bitter Beaa Moss is yelling out loud, "Why did you let that happen to yourself? That's embarrassing," like right out loud. And then, yeah, the constant, and she's, one thing I noticed too, very good at knowing to work the crowd, being that the crowd is all on the one side every single time, turning to the crowd, letting those facial expressions out, yelling at that side of the audience to get that reaction. She was completely on point once again. Fantastic in what she does, but so were all four of these ladies. This was a great tag team matchup. In the end, the faces get the win here, but well done by all four ladies involved.
Yeah, I thought so too. And in our previous reviews of WPW, we've had lots of positive things to say about Ava Lawless and especially Beaa Moss. I agree with you, Munson. Moss is really seems to get it at an early point in her career, especially as a heel. Her screaming and her interactions with the crowd are very amusing and very funny, but she also takes it to the point where you want to see her get her face slapped. You want to see her get put in a submission hold and get in some pain. You want to see her get pinned, but it's one of those love to hate situations. She does her job very effectively as a heel. Love her a whole bunch. Then on the other side, we've seen the Matriarch a few times. You can kind of see her even improving or becoming more confident in the few matches we've watched lately. She's good. She's got all the potential to get even better than that. She's big. She's strong. She's athletic. She's cool. The crowd gets right behind her, so she's in a good spot. And then they brought in another name to this match, and that is Shotzi Blackheart, former star in NXT TV.
And on the main roster too.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. She had a run on the main. Yep.
She didn't bring her mini tank to Winnipeg, but she doesn't really need it. She's got a whole charisma to her, all her own, and her own kind of unique look. I think the crowd was really in to see some Shotzi Blackheart. Of course, they teased that for a long time throughout this match. Shotzi was waiting on the apron while the Matriarch was bumping in the ring, getting that getting that heel heat beat up for Lawless and Moss, but there was a few things that I noticed and liked throughout this match. Lawless was playing her role very well. She's pissed off because she lost the ladies' title to Jody Threat on the last show. So she's pissed off. She's grumpy for this entire thing. The Matriarch giving her a spanking in the middle of the ring didn't improve her mood much. There were some cool shots during this match. I liked when the wrestlers were climbing to the top rope and the camera would get underneath, pointing up. That's when you could see those vaulted ceilings of the Burton Cummings Theater. That was when those were some of those moments where you could see, oh wow, like this is a special kind of venue. This is not where you normally see independent wrestling. This is a fancy theater from the old days. So that was really, really cool. And yeah, they took the fight out into the arena a little bit, so you got to see some of their action, taking it off the stage and into those first few rows of seats. So you could see it's like an old-fashioned theater, like something Abe Lincoln would have been at, or somebody like that. Yeah, and just nice plush seats that all face the ring. So I liked it when they fought out there because we got a little bit of a look at the building. But other than that, as a match, this was very, very well done. I love the ladies division in WPW. They don't have a huge roster of different ladies wrestlers on here, but they're all quite good, and that's more important, right? It's quality over quantity, and they got a good thing going with this. So in order to showcase Shotzi Blackheart, they put her in a tag team match with 3 of the other girls, kept her outside the ring. Once she got that hot tag, came in and showed everybody her stuff. The crowd really, really erupting for this. They loved it. So Shotzi probably worth every penny of her payout that night.
You bet, yeah. And as Mel was saying, Matriarch is absolutely incredible. And again, we saw great things from her here tonight. She's had her problems both individually with Ava and with Beaa Moss, which made sense that she needed the tag partner on this night. She got Shotzi Blackheart. So yeah, a great way to follow up. Again, this is how this card escalates throughout the entire night. That's the thing. It just it goes up. It doesn't ever come down. And that's the thing. Everybody that we're going to be talking about has put on a great performance to the point where it's hard to pick what's the best match of the night kind of thing. It's a very difficult thing to pick. But up next, surprisingly, middle of the card, we're going to be talking about the name of the show. It is the Rumble in the Burt, Papa Smokes, the actual battle royal. And I thought it was cool that they did the videos where they had the different competitors backstage doing a few promos. They did this throughout the night with the matches as well too, but kind of that backstage commentary, asking questions to the wrestlers, them talking about what they're going to do to win the Battle in the Burt, because the winner of the Battle in the Burt Royal Rumble is going to get a shot at the WPW champion at their, I don't think it's the next show, but it's down the line, a show that's called Fight at the Museum, reference to the movie Night at the Museum. Maybe it's held in a museum, I'm not sure, but I guess we'll find out when we get to that card. It is? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's even cooler.
Yeah, well, they've had that one before. It's in the Museum of Man and Nature, which is another big, famous building in Winnipeg. It is what it says it is. It's got full-size dinosaur skeletons and, my God, everything that a museum has. So they must be converting one of the main big open areas into getting a ring in there and having a show. I know they've done at least one before, because that was kind of blowing my mind when I saw that on X as well, that, oh man, they're doing a show in the Museum of Man and Nature. That's awesome.
Yeah, can't wait to see it. It's going to be cool. But yeah, so the winner of this Battle in the Burt is going to get a shot that night against whoever the champion ends up being at that point in time. I'm going to run down the list of the competitors that are in here, and then we're going to talk about some of the highlights that came out of this particular matchup, Papa Smokes. So here we go. We had Big Merv is in there, Eddie Alvarez, Clayton Kyle, BRAX, BP Taylor, all night. Well, I want to call him all night Levi Knight, but he's the disco daddy Levi Knight when he's at Winnipeg Pro. We had Tommy Billington. We had Mo Jabari. We had Nick Nelson. We had Devon Monroe. We had Danhausen, Michael Allen, Richard Clark, the PPW champion, Kevin Cannon, Cannonball Kelly, Tyler Colton, Tommy Lee Curtis, the Jack Jesus, the healer Harlon Abbott, Robby Royce, that's the Pitbull Robby Royce, Raj Singh, and Ronnie Attitude. This thing started off with the very first competitor and the man who I believe in some ways stole the show with what he did on this night, and that is the Jack Jesus himself. And man, this was great. From the presentation of him coming out, and he's got that wireless headset on that he's wearing, like he's giving a sermon to the people at the Burton Cummings Theater. And he comes out and he's just talking a whole lot of smack that they aren't buying into. And they get 2,000 people chanting that same chant that we won't repeat here on the show towards him. It's a little bit of that F you Jesus kind of situation. And he turns around and he's like, okay, I'm not having this. He's like, F me, F you, all of you a-holes out there. And then he has a go at the audience. And man, I thought they were just going to lynch him at this point in time. And the best part is then he takes this into the matchup himself. It starts with him and Mo Jabari, Kid Chocolate in the matchup. And throughout different points of this battle royal, he would grab that damn headset again and trash talk while he's inside the ring and tell his other guys, when Cannonball Kelly came in and stuff like that, letting them know what they need to do. And Nick Nelson is the other one, I believe, but telling them what to do throughout the match to keep the numbers game their way and beat down the other competitors. I loved to hate him throughout this entire thing. I knew he'd get his comeuppance later on in this. I had a feeling I knew who was going to win this thing, but I think he was a standout for me and someone that I believe, especially with this particular gimmick, could find himself at the top of the WPW card.
For sure. And I couldn't agree with you more that he was basically the star of this Rumble match. And especially with the headset coming in and talking his way through the whole thing, it's annoying to the crowd when one wrestler gets to talk and nobody else talks, and it's just this insulting running commentary going on. But yeah, the Jack Jesus drawing the number one and coming in first, but he also had the other members of the congregation come in early. So they were controlling this match for a long time. It was the numbers game. It was 3 on whoever else was in the ring. Mo Jabari, another big story in this match. He was the early competitor that hung on for such a long time. That's a tough job in these Rumble matches because they're not typical matches to work like a one-on-one or like a tag team match. It's more chaotic. It's more mayhem, and there's so many more bodies and more moves being done in the ring that it's a tough job to hang in there. Jabari hung in there for 40 odd minutes or 50 odd minutes of the thing. It was over an hour long. And that was one of the stories. People always wonder, wow, could he outlast it and win it? Ever since Shawn Michaels came in at number 1 and won the damn Royal Rumble, I guess that's kind of like a popular storyline now. I think Steve Austin might have done that as well. But at any rate, there were a few other standout things. Talking about the congregation, thought Cannonball Kelly looked awesome in this match. I love Cannonball in PPW, but I also love him in WPW. Mm-hmm. He's really, really good. It just shows his diversity as a performer. He can do lots of stuff, and he's very effective as a heel in this. There was a WPW debut, Clayton Kyle, a young babyface that came in this. Wasn't in the match long, but he did his few spots, and he looked pretty good in them. He kind of stood out to me. We saw one of our PPW friends, Levi Knight, the Disco Daddy, in this one. They like him to a certain degree. He showed some babyface fire in this, battling against the congregation and against his former partner, Cannonball Kelly. Another one of our PPW alumni, Michael Allen Richard Clark, came in as a heel. He actually eliminated Levi Knight from this match, so Munson, will that bleed over back to PPW? Will that increase the heat between those two? We thought it was over, maybe not. But at any rate, Tyler Colton now comes in. My God, just impresses me every time. He's even bigger and stronger and scarier looking than he ever used to be. He starts throwing people out right, left, and center. You know, there had come a time in this Rumble where the ring was starting to fill up. There hadn't been very many eliminations, and now Tyler's throwing them out of the ring like they're nothing.
Yep.
Tommy Billington stood out to me. He's been on one of the cards recently that we've reviewed. He looked really good, and he came in with a lot of fire, and he's excellent, and he works well with the other wrestlers in WPW. Thought Harlon Abbott was really awesome in this match too. Bunsen, did you see the spot that Harlon Abbott did with Tommy Billington? He's got a move. I don't know what it's called in general in wrestling or what he calls it, but it's kind of a double underhook, and then he stands the guy straight up, similar to like the Briscoe brother, the Jade Drilla. It's kind of like that. But then he holds the guy way up over his head. What a feat of strength, and what a huge bump that was. It looked so dangerous. I don't think it really was. I think Abbott knows what the hell he's doing, and so does Billington. It was probably soft as a mother's touch, but it looked like screaming hell. You had to think Billington had a busted neck after that. It looked great, and I loved that part. Abbott as the healer in his monk's robes and everything else. He's quite effective. That guy knows what the hell he's doing in wrestling. Danhausen came out, wasn't expecting to see him. While we had seen him in the pre-show and such. Not sure what I think of him. He's funny. Yeah, I think he's funny on the mic. Not sure about casting curses on people in the middle of the match and all that, but the fans get into it. It's popular. He didn't do much in the match, but it was interesting nonetheless. I love the WPW has a tag team called the Midlife Express of two older guys. That's extremely funny to me, no question. And then we had BRAX come in. Now we got some more beef in there, and he came in and started kicking some ass big time. He also eliminated a number of people.
A lot.
And then I think the last entrance was Devon Monroe, and he's got an interesting presentation and everything. He's got a bunch of cool moves, and he's very, very over with the crowd. So he had a strong showing in this match coming in late. But what happens? There was someone who won it last year, Tyler Colton, who came in and just wasn't going to have it any other way this year. By the time we got down to the final two, it was Colton versus BRAX. And you just think, my God, the amount of beef that's in here between these two guys is just almost immeasurable. I thought, my God, we're going to have a huge fight between these two, but no, it wasn't to be.
No.
Colton eliminates BRAX pretty quickly and becomes this year's winner of the Rumble at the Burt Rumble match, earning himself a title shot for next time at a title shot against whoever the champion would be after tonight and for the next show. So, wow, awesome by Tyler Colton. Not completely unsurprising, but the big, heavy, beefy man gets it done in a battle royal again, just like Andre and Big John Studd and the battle royal masters of the past. The big guy comes in, throws smaller men out, and gets the win.
Yeah. Fantastic battle royal. It was great. Tyler Colton, big congratulations there. And yeah, fight at the museum is the time you will get a shot at whoever the champion ends up being at that point in time as well too. But securing that opportunity and, watch out whoever the champion is, because it is going to take a lot to go up against the Canadian Hercules, Tyler Colton. Well done, WPW. And the fun doesn't stop there. That's only 3 matches in. We got a 6-match card to talk about. Up next, talking about star power, Papa Smokes. It's the WPW Tag Team title match. And as much as they believe that they might be the stars of this one, New Money, the champions, Bryce Bentley and Scott Ripley the third, they are taking on the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, obviously the stars of this one, multi-time world champions all across the globe, coming to this thing. But again, New Money has got something going for them, and it's working very, very well. They definitely have got some charisma. They're a good young team. People love to, another team that you love to hate just because how smarky they are. Like, you just want to slap them across the face. But they come out, the New Money system as they're trying to inflict on people, and go up against the Good Brothers. And this one, all out into the audience. You got to see deeper into the Burton Cummings Theater, just right back to the, almost back to the point of going to the merch stands on the entryway to the Burton Cummings Theater in this one. But short at the same time, surprisingly not a very long matchup, especially considering that this is one of the shorter videos on the YouTube feed, and it also features the Good Brothers giving a nice speech towards the people of Winnipeg and Winnipeg wrestling, WPW and all that afterwards. Very quick matchup. New Money stealing the matchup and retaining their tag team championships against the Good Brothers. And again, like I said, then it went on to the Good Brothers being able to give that nice speech afterwards, praising the people of Winnipeg and praising the wrestling that goes on there and everything, and thanking them for having them at the Burton Cummings Theater for Rumble in the Burt. This was a cool match. I mean, is it the best match on the card? No, it was probably my least favorite in total on the card, but that's saying, if I was to give every match an A+, this one was an A. If that's the kind of comparison I would go by, because it's still a solid match. You don't need every match to be 25, 30 minutes, and coming out of a big 1 hour battle royal, this is the perfect placement for this one.
Yeah, for sure. And you got your tag team champions in there, New Money. These guys are obnoxious as living hell. And I thought they were quite funny during the pre-show, and they just, they were such heels, and they were just mocking the announcers and demanding to be referred to in various names and by various titles and everything. And they're just really, really turning up the heel during those spoken parts before the card started, but tremendously obnoxious when they come to the ring as well. They're arrogant, they're rich, they're living in downtown Toronto, all the rest of it, everything that would make the crowd hate these guys, they were doing it. So the Good Brothers come in as baby faces, and the crowd's immediately taken to them. They've got a certain amount of fame behind them. They worked in some big companies. They've worked in some big buildings, including Tokyo Dome and some other big buildings in Japan and all over the US with the WWE system for a long time. So these guys have been around the block, and this match was no real mystery how it was going to go down. The Good Brothers were going to lay a beating on New Money, but probably not come out with those tag team titles. We get how it works. But yeah, this was a royal ass kicking, and I think of matches like this as a treat for the fans, basically. Nothing's going to change after it's over, except that they got to see the heels that they are most annoyed by, the heels that they hate the most, get an absolute thrashing by a known team, by a popular babyface team, and that's just what happened. Good Brothers got it all done till one of New Money pins Carl Anderson by holding the ropes. Cheating, of course. Can you believe that from New Money months?
Who would have thought?
No, absolutely. But this one pleased the crowd. This was the treat. And yeah, the feel-good speech by Anderson and Gallows afterwards, just congratulating WPW for running a quality wrestling promotion, but most of all, giving it out to the fans. Hey, you guys make these shows what they are by coming out, by paying your money, and by filling up these venues, filling up all the seats, and filling up the air with that noise and that crowd support. They make the show happen just as much as anybody. And the Good Brothers know that. Nobody's over without a good crowd, so good feelings all around. Everybody leaves happy after this match, except for the Anderson and Gallows, I suppose, but they got a good showing in. Got to really kick New Money's ass after the bell as well. How many of their finishers did they give the one guy? 5 or 6 of them, and the crowd chanting for more again, again, again. yeah, a treat for the fans and a treat for anybody watching.
Victory indeed. Yeah, it was great to watch. I already said that, in comparison, if that match was an A and the rest were A plus, I've kind of given myself away already going into the last two. Up next, we've got the WPW women's title match as champion Jody Threat in her first title defense is taking on the belt collector, the CEO, Mercedes Moné. And I went into this thing thinking, it's great for them that Moné is there bringing her star power to WPW, but I've never been a strong Moné fan. And she comes out, does the belt presentation, the belt gimmick. It's a bit much for me. However, this match was great. This match was really great, actually, because you had to, like, Jody Threat is great inside the ring. She's electric. She does very, very well. We love watching her. And then Moné has been around the business for quite some time. She knows what to do to come out there to, bring that star power in, to be able to work inside the ring, and work she did. This was a high working matchup between two very skilled individuals in this thing, and they kind of pretty much stole the damn show when it came down to it. This was probably one of the best things on the entire card, and probably why maybe WPW took that gamble of airing this one live. This was the only match they aired live on YouTube that night that had a kickstart to anything. And they gambled well, because these two ladies, they tore it down, Papa Spokes. This was a hell of a title match. Yes, it led to Moné collecting one more belt, but again, now WPW's got it all over their website, all over their YouTube and everything. Mercedes Moné is our WPW Women's Champion. So they are definitely using that star power to their advantage. And the video itself has drawn a lot of views and a lot of view hours for their channel, having brought Mercedes in for this matchup.
Very much so. And cheers to WPW for taking that chance, bringing in a very, very popular ladies wrestler, a very sought after wrestler as well in Mercedes Moné. I can also say, like, I've never been a huge fan of her work before. I watched some matches for sure, but I can say in this match she was very good. And you made a point about the belt collecting gimmick. Yes, I'm not a huge fan of this either. However, I would make this point that for everywhere that Monet travels and does this gimmick, I don't think Winnipeg has seen this one very much. That's the thing about some of these smaller cities in Canada, is that it's a display. It's an exposition of all these different belts from all these promotions around the US and possibly a few in Canada, one or two from Mexico as well. She's got a CMLL belt there as well. I like it just in the way that the local fans that really only ever see their own federation's belts or other Winnipeg companies' belts that are local to that area. I think it's kind of neat that the fans get to see all these different belts from all these different things. And it kind of shows that she's a traveling worker. I know that Monet does most of her work for AEW, but she does dates on the indies as well, obviously, and she's kicking ass in the indies and taking a lot of belts from a lot of ladies champions. So I like the display in that way. But this was a very, very solid match, I thought, and one of the best matches on the card. I enjoyed it a lot. Now, that belt display and the entrances were really a big part of the presentation of this match. It was a full 8 minutes before the competitors actually touched each other in the ring. But I was building up to this whole match, and they took their time in this too. The first 5 minutes were Threat versus Monet as just a nice standard traditional wrestling match. Whole bunch of grappling on the mat, whole bunch of trading and reversing moves and holds. It was very nice. It built it up before either of them took over. This was a struggle between two very good wrestlers. We know Threat has that MMA background, so she's very proficient in jiu-jitsu and a few other styles of mat wrestling and MMA fighting, so she's comfortable trading hold for hold. Monet's a very long experienced wrestler. none of this is new to her as well. I loved the first 5 minutes of this match, especially because it was competitive, it was back and forth, and it really set the stage for what was to come. Now, these ladies, once this match started to break down into from traditional wrestling into more of a fight, more of a bit of a brawl to it, they took it into the crowd as well. And once again, we got to see a bit more of this theater. The Mercedes was playing the heel very well, interacting with the crowd. She wasn't above talking to the crowd or interacting or exchanging barbs and such with the crowd. She wasn't shy about that at all. To me, that's a sign of a good worker that you got to feel that crowd. You got to know where they're at. Do they like you? Do they hate you? Are they giving you hate because they like you? You have to be able to gauge that, I think, as an effective heel, and then respond in kind. You can't just give them the finger if they don't like you. You have to say clever stuff, and you have to insult the fans. That'll get them going even more. And I thought Moné didn't put her nose up at being in a Winnipeg a wrestling show or in front of a Winnipeg crowd. She embraced it, and she was interacting quite effectively with them. I liked when they took it into the crowd, and Jody Threat is a big fan a big favorite amongst the fans. They know what she's like, and they know what she likes. So somebody just gave her a full beer immediately. She just chugged that, much to the huge ovation of the crowd. Then went on the offense and knocked around Mercedes Moné for a little bit. Then Moné, once she got the upper hand, she took a beer from one of the crowd and then just flung it all over them. They soaked everybody.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And that's not a set thing. She didn't know she was going to do that. You could see that was ad-libbed, right? Threat's going to use a beer to her advantage. Mercedes is going to do the same thing, but insult all the fans by just drenching them with that beer. Very, very good. And of course, the beer would come into play again towards the finish of this match. Ava Lawless runs out to the ring. She's, like we said before, she's pissed off at losing that ladies' title to Jody Threat at last month's show. So she runs out to the crowd, grabs a beer, throws it in Threat's face, and now she's taken Mercedes Moné's finisher. Now she's eaten that 3 count. So a short reign as the ladies' champion, the belt collector, or the Ultimo, as Moné is calling herself now. It's got another one for the collection. It's the WPW Ladies Championship. So does that beg the question now? Of course, Moné is going to be back to defend that title. Very exciting for the fans here because she put in a fine showing tonight.
You bet. Yeah, no, it was fantastic. Well done by both these ladies. And now it still builds up to more between Jody Threat and Ava Lawless moving forward at the same time, which is something to look forward to. So after all that, Papa Smokes, it's now time to talk about that triple threat match, that main event of the evening. It is scheduled for one fall. And is for the WPW Heavyweight Championship. It is champion James Roth taking on Bobby Shink, and the man who inserted himself into this matchup by a contract clause. He is chiseled Chad Daniels. And I was talking to you before we went on the air, and I said before, I can't remember if I said it on the air or after we were talking about one of the other cards, and I said distinctly that I had a feeling the chiseled Chad Daniels was going to walk away, snaking his way out of this thing as the champion. And I said earlier that they got the feel-good moments out earlier in the night. The night went on later on, once they got past that Battle of the Burt match, and it was all, against what the fans wanted. The fans wanted Jody Threat to win. She didn't win. They wanted to see either James Roth or Sweet Bobby Shink, especially Sweet Bobby Shink, who's over as hell with this audience right now, get that title back. But here comes Chisel Chad Daniels. He is the man that's inserted himself in. He's the man that rolls to the outside and tells those two to sort out their problems while he waits for his opportunity to get into this fight. And again, this had the typical stereotypical triple threat things that I'm not a big fan of, but at the same time, these 3 guys were fantastic. at every point in this matchup. They're all very, very over with the crowd. And to think about the amount of star power on this card, but yet your storyline for your championship is so damn strong that you can stick 3 of your own in the main event over all the star power, says something about where these guys were going. And there was so much to unfold in this thing too. Chad Daniels did not take this title by fluke. He did not take this by surprise. He took this by force, Papa Smokes, because not only does this man have BRAX in his corner, this man now has new money in his corner as well. A new faction born on this night that all intervened to make sure that James Roth not only lost his belt, that sweet Bobby Shink didn't have a chance to become the champion once again, and chiseled Chad Daniels, now the WPW heavyweight champion.
Yeah, very interesting. And I think you saw the writing on the wall more than I did. I had it in my mind that Shink and Roth were going to decide this between the two of them. But of course, you always must fear the guy who enters the match late and has a plan to, by hook or by crook, get to that victory over these other two guys. Very interesting in the booking, very interesting in the setup of this match. But I liked the way this went. I'm also not a huge fan of three-way matches, but this one was done very, very well. They started off with Roth kind of looking like the champion that he is, looking like the warrior that's held that belt for a while now. I love that part where he had Shink lifted up in the fireman's carry over his back, and Chisel Chad was on the top rope, kind of stunned a little bit. Roth just went over, yeah, and taken him on my back too. Very, very nice show of strength there. Did a nice little Samoan drop on the two of them. Shink extremely over with this crowd. He's been the champion before in a relatively younger wrestling company. He's got the sweet gimmick. He comes out pouring maple syrup into people's mouths because that's how sweet he is. He's been a big favorite amongst in Winnipeg wrestling for a long time. He's got some physical gifts. I don't know how tall he is. He's got to be 6'6", 6'7". He's a big boy.
Definitely a big boy.
And he's been a wrestler for quite a long time. So he knows what he's doing in there. He knows how to get the heat. What about those trunks that Shink was wearing too? The custom-made Winnipeg Jets.
It's a nice touch.
Old logo and old jersey there with the navy blue and red. Very nice. Very
Loved
nice. It. Roth was playing the champion in a three-way battle in the way that even when he was hurt, he had to be aware of what was going on in other parts of the ring because, of course, he could lose his championship without even getting pinned. So he had that kind of desperation to him where he not only had to avoid getting pinned himself, but he had to make sure no one else did as well. Did a great job of that. I had seen one or two of Roth's matches before this, but this one really showed me that he's got it. He was totally worthy of being champion in this. Really defended his belt like a warrior. I like one of the moves that James Roth uses, which you and I know from MLW from Richard Holiday as the 2008 stock market crash. Kind of a spinning suplex move. That's quite cool. But, of course, there's going to be some shenanigans in a three-way match because, of course, no disqualification. So that makes it easier now. Anyone can do anything they want, kind of, and use weapons and such like that. In this case, Chiseled Chad was not going to use weapons except in the way of human beings coming to the ring. Out comes Big BRAX, and oh boy, he's going to make an impact in this match. The ref goes down. BRAX is in the ring now doing spots, and he's not even just interfering from the outside. He's right in there doing big moves on Shink and Roth. Now New Money's in there. They've got a chair. They're hitting Roth over the head. BRAX comes in again. The match slows all the way down. The heels are going to lay a beat down on James Roth, and eventually there's 4 guys now beating up Bobby Shink, including Chad Daniels, New Money, and BRAX. Eventually, Daniels hits the cutter on Shink, gets the pinfall, and that's it. Bit of a surprise, but they had that one set up as a little bit of a swerve for the fans there. And the smaller guy out of the three of them, chiseled Chad Daniels. He's got that heel heat. He's got that, we'll call it a charisma, although the fans don't want to love him in the least. But he came in with a plan, the evil plan to win this match and to become the new WPW champion, take over control of this company. And that's just what he did with a fairly convincing win in this. However, it just begs the question now, is he going to be able to hold on to this belt, and how much will his new faction have to protect him? You got to think that's what they're there for, to protect the champion. So maybe chiseled Chad Daniels going to hold on to this belt a bit with the help of BRAX and New Money.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it pays off to buy into the New Money system, as they were talking about earlier in the night, because, yeah, new champion looking good. Interested to see where it goes. This show was an A+ for me, Papa Smokes. Overall, I was fully entertained from the pre-show right through to the matchups throughout the night. WPW hit this out of the park. This is a top quality show, and I highly recommend, if anybody hasn't seen it, that they check it out and subscribe to Winnipeg Pro Wrestling over on YouTube. Your final thoughts on the card?
Yeah, I agree with your rating as well. I give it high marks. Also because of the venue that it was in. Love this idea of holding wrestling back at the Walker Theater, now known as the Burton Cummings Theater, making that tie with old historical wrestling from the early 1900s in Winnipeg, making the old new again. And then this being their big card of the year, WPW pulled out all the stops, brought in some guests, opened the purse string, and really made this a big show. Had some of their angles all culminate it on this card, and these were the big matches. So anyone thinking of watching some WPW, this would be a good place to start, because this is their big show of the year. They pulled out all the stops and made it a memorable card.
They really did. Yeah. And if you want to check them out, the link is in all of the chats right now. Check out Winnipeg Pro over on YouTube and go check these cards out that are given away for free. Free is the key word there. They are giving it to you. All you have to do is go check them out and support them online, which you've done with us here tonight. We really appreciate everybody who took the time to be with us throughout this review. We are past the hour, so we're going to wrap things up. But first, we're going to put that expensive ticker on the screen. I'll let Pop Smokes tell you all where you can find him next.
All right, every Thursday night, I'm on Ring Respect Radio on Ole Podcast and Video Bros Network. Other than that, you can find me on Elon Musk's free speech wonderland known as X. I'm at smokes_papa. Also on Twitch, allegedly, at papa_smokes_.
Love to hear it. Follow Papa Smokes if you can, and you can check myself out, Bobby Munson, over the X, Instagram, and Threads. I am on Twitch, and I am also over on the Blue Sky. Look me up on all of those things. And also check us out here on some of the other shows. Myself, Bob Smokes here, Thursday nights, Ring Respect Radio. I'm also on Point of View here, 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Sundays, talking about the weekend sports. And you can catch myself, Bob Smokes. If you like what you saw here, you can head on over to Prairie Pro Wrestling over on YouTube and check us out as the commentary team. We have a new match coming out every single Sunday on the channel, and this Sunday it is T.Y. Jackson taking on the Rhinestone Cowboy Stephen Crow in singles action, so you're not going to want to miss out on that one. And if you like what you saw here today, if we've given you something of value and you want to take just a moment to click that subscribe button down below, we really would truly appreciate it. Click that notification bell. You'll be notified when anything new gets uploaded here at OLE Podcast, and you'll also be able to join in the fun and the live chats, especially because people like our good friend the Mangler, who joined us here for the entire show, get involved with the chat. We absolutely love it. Melball was here, BDJ, Astrid, Basser, Zach, all of you wonderful people joining us in the live chat. You could be the next person to join in on that lively chat here with us every Thursday night, where we're talking about indie wrestling. We're doing wrestling trivia, and we're taking you on a trip through the past with a trip through the territories. All that stuff coming up even more so as the weeks go on. But next week, we've got some chaotic wrestling to cover for you with our good friend Oled. He's going to be here on Thanksgiving in the United States. So join us for Ring Respects Thanksgiving special next Thursday night. Till then, take care, everybody.